It's day 16 of designing Animal Crossing Island in 30 days on hard mode. And today we are kicking things off with the KK Slider concert. Yesterday we managed to get 3 stars, and now today we get to reap the rewards. So after the credits finish rolling here, I'm going to get into today's plans. It is so nice to be on to the next stage of this game. We are over halfway through the challenge now, and I think we can start making some really big strides towards our overall goal of hitting 5 stars. So Tom Nook is now giving us the Island Designer app, and I guess it's a good thing that I didn't spend all my miles yet. I almost bought the inventory upgrade, the last inventory upgrade, but as you'll see, probably good that I didn't. Let me know in the comments if you've ever unlocked this entire postcard, by the way, all the KK concerts. I think you need to attend 50 or 100 of them or something to get all these. I've never done it on any of my islands, even my main one. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. So the plan for today is to plan our island layout. In order to do that, we need paths. So we already have access to the tool that allows us to, put down different paths, and each one is gonna cost 2,000 points one time ever. And then we have 6,000 points for the waterscaping and cliff construction permit. Now, as you know, I've talked about not doing terraforming this time around, but we will need these just to edit a little bit of terrain to get bridges and stairs to fit where we want them. Otherwise, I'm probably really not going to be using these too much. It stinks that they cost so much dang miles. So what I'm going to do first is just worry about paths. Today is path day. And I like path day. It's a little bit tedious, but I like it. First, I want to decide what paths we want on the island, and I have a few preferences. So first and foremost, the dark dirt path is going to be great for all the different farms. I love putting crops and flowers on the dirt paths. Then, I think the stone path is probably my favorite inoffensive path. And what I mean by that is I think it just goes with everything. I think you can really decorate an island with this as the main path and not have to worry too much about how things look next to it. But there's also some other options here. I think the wooden path, like I mentioned yesterday, would be good for builds where we're kind of doing like a seating area where people are going to eat food and stuff. So those are the 3 I'm going to get right now. The dark dirt path, the stone path, and the wooden path. And from here, I think what we're going to focus on is just getting the dailies done around all the different kind of pathing projects that I have. First things first, we did just cut down a money tree. I'm not going to keep putting the money trees here. We'll find a new home for those. And I'm going to take the money from this tree, and we got to pay down this bridge, which yesterday we almost finished doing. We just need to get the rest of this in here. And just like that, tomorrow we are going to have our next bridge. I'm also going to harvest some cherries because we are going to need a food source. Oh, dang it. As I said yesterday, I've kind of cut down a lot of trees, and I might not want to do that for every single project. So I think I'll be moving trees at least. If not cutting them down, it just depends on how much they upset me. Fortunately for these smaller trees, I don't have to eat a cherry. They're just small enough to where you can pick them right up. I think this one's a little too big. Let's see. Yeah, this one's grown a bit too much. And I think I'm also gonna need this one out of my way, like this. And the first path we are going to place down is going to connect resident services to our first bridge. Let's pop up in this app for the first time, grab our stone path. And as I've done in the past, I do think I'm gonna go ahead and make our paths 4 tiles wide. These are like our main roads. And I'm going to do a lot of work starting at this bridge, actually. And the goal is to connect this bridge to resident services. And one thing I'm considering is kind of alternating between the paths that are 4 wide and the paths that are 2 wide. And in some cases, we'll have paths that are 3 tiles wide, because I think for my house, for example, yeah, it's an odd number for the front door. So we would need 3 tiles. I have to move the mailbox. Can I move the mailbox? No, I don't think I can pick this up yet. I think I need to upgrade the house one more time. There is a chance that, yeah, I think I ran into this before. You have to either be really tricky with how you get a tile underneath your doorstep, or it's just not possible till you can move the mailbox. I can't really remember, but maybe we just skip this for now. Hopefully I can get another upgrade and they let me move the mailbox. Okay, we'll come back to that. But yeah, in theory, I'd have a path that's like 3 tiles to my house. And when the path has to change its like width, I think that's when we maybe play with different paths altogether, right? So we have the stone path, and those are our main roads, and then maybe we swap to a dirt path for when we need to do something more narrow. And I think as I connect these bridges here, I'll kind of show you what that looks like. So this is about what we're working with for the first path. And I like 4 when it comes to resident services because this is an even number of tiles. 4 wide path makes it nice and even up to the center of the plaza. and we'll probably come off of this side up to the museum with 4 tile wide paths. But over here is where it gets a little bit odd, because I don't know if we can fit a good looking 4 tile wide path between these 2 bridges. You know what I mean? It's just going to look like a big slab of concrete. And this is where I'm like, well, what if we went dirt here? We can go dirt here. We can narrow the path to 2 wide, and then maybe it can come across like this. So we'll make a little hook here, but then we can also go up and over and put something in front of Nook's Cranny and through this area here. The only thing I don't love about that is I said I wanted to put path underneath our crops. So if I use dirt, then it's going to look a bit odd, because then everything's going to look like dirt over here. And when it comes to the crops, they kind of have this darker dirt underneath them. So I might want to use maybe this lighter dirt path underneath the crops if I am going to do paths out of dirt. And then we can use the darker dirt path as path. But honestly, I actually prefer to alternate between dark dirt and light dirt when it comes to anything, any kind of farm, whether it's flowers or crops. So I don't know, a lot of decisions to make here. I kind of wish when it came to dirt paths, we had a third option. Technically, I guess we do, because sand is a form of dirt, but it's sand. I don't know. I don't really like using sand. There's terracotta, but it's kind of almost the same as using sand to me. I don't really think it fits the vibe of what I'm going for. There's also custom paths, which I'm not going to get into right now. Then the other 2 more finished looking paths to me would be the arched tile path and the brick path. And I also don't like either of these. Like, I actually really do like the arched one, but the brick one is probably my least favorite. Every time I've used it, like for a big area, I always regret it. It's just not my style. And the other thing I definitely don't want to do is alternate between too many different types of paths around the town. So the more I think about this, the more I think I stick to stone. And if the stone goes from 4 wide to 2 wide, it's actually not a huge deal. It just kind of symbolizes that this area is maybe a little more, I don't know, a little more casual. It's not part of the main city, you know, at the center of town. I think the stone path is just a nice combination of still like a path that still looks kind of rustic while also still looking finished. So this would hook over to the left, and we would continue that way. Maybe it goes 4 wide again. Maybe it stays 2 for a while. But then I also want to go up and over in front of Nook's here. Nook's is another spot that kind of needs a wider entrance, given that, you know, it's an uneven number of tiles. So we'd have to use 3 tiles for the entrance. Also, this doesn't really line up perfectly with the entrance to our farm, which I think is going to stay the way it is. I could always move everything over a little bit, but I don't think I have room to pull these trees back any closer to the cliffs. I do have room to move these crops down, and I probably will. But yeah, I think maybe we do that. Maybe we take the crops, we move them down 1, we get rid of the furniture down here, and we maybe can move the entrance to this down if we need to. But let's first get a path over here. I'm gonna have to dig up some more trees. We'll pick up this one. I'll go over here and pick up this one. I just gotta say, I am so excited to finally get to show all of you my vision for this island. It is torture to try and explain things without this visual aid of having paths. So this is a big day for me, even though I imagine for you on this particular day, it is just someone literally running around placing down little path tiles. It's just not super exciting. So I'm trying to decide how far this path needs to come down. And if I want the entrance to be, oh, right, it's 3 tiles wide over here. Well, you know what? This actually works. If I go 2 tiles wide, I can add a fence here, and I'm going to trade these fences out anyway, but I can add a fence here and then have a 2 wide entrance into the fenced in area, and then move these crops down. And yeah, we'll have an extra buffer of empty tiles between the path and then the crops and the fruit trees. Let's commit to that, and we'll pull the path this way. And we see we have our first interesting dilemma when it comes to how these 2 paths are going to connect. So right now, a path in front of Nook's, like right here, makes sense, and this path gets to 3 tiles wide as like the entrance to Nook's, so it stops there. Once Nook's upgrades, it'll look better, but I don't know if we're going to get to see that upgrade given the time frame. I can keep going this direction and just connect them here. And honestly, this doesn't look too bad. I normally, with the way I kind of plan out islands, I normally would like a nice T intersection. So I would ideally have the path actually sprout from these 2 tiles instead of like have this weird little zigzag that it does, right? But what's nice about spaces like this is we can put one of those like street signs right here with all the little wooden arrows coming off of it. I'll probably make one later and show you. It goes here, and it kind of like leans into the chaos of this zigzag path, you know? Here's all the directions you can go right now. So we cross over the bridge, we go over here, And this is kind of why it's also nice to have a 2 wide path, because if I made this 4 tiles wide, again, it would just look like a whole bunch of stone that isn't doing anything. So it's kind of cool. I like the way this is turning out. We come over here, and then, yes, we run this path all the way through our park/farm, whatever this place is. I think as time goes on, I will farmify it a bit more, but at the moment, it is just kind of a mess. We'll have it stop about right here. In fact, maybe I have it stop out even a little bit earlier. We can have it stop here, and then we can take this bench. We can flip it around like this and line it up with the path. And then, yeah, now it looks like it stops, and there's like an intentional sitting kind of area. And we can put some stuff around it. Yeah, it gives us some options. We can round out the corners too, just to give it that finished kind of look. It does feel like this is the start to something. So for now, yeah, I pretty much like the way this is. This also, what's cool about this entrance to Nook's Cranny is that we have a little spot right here and a little spot right here to decorate. And I think we can make a little more of a grand entrance to Nook's with these. We could even put down a different path, like the wooden one I was talking about, and maybe put some shopping carts if we get them or something. Now, that's going to be really difficult to do because we're not really allowed to buy stuff like that. But hopefully someone gifts us a shopping cart and maybe some other items that, you know, appeal to shoppers. Carrying on, we're going to get rid of this tree here and possibly these trees as well, because I think now what we're going to do is get back to using the wider path, because I did talk about this, like going back to 4 tiles for the more like city kind of vibe, I guess. And I want to be clear, I'm not trying to go for city core necessarily. I'm just using that word to define like an area that I imagine has like more foot traffic, more commerce, more people coming through. But I'm not trying to like go and make like a literal city. Looks like we are going to need to start making decisions about where trees are going to live permanently though, because my cherries are done and my trees are starting to fill up my inventory. Everyone makes fun of me, but this is why I always cut them down. All right, so let's now widen this again to 4 tiles. I've always appreciated how you can kind of tuck paths under bridges a little bit. I do wish that staircases had that same feature. That would be nice. Admittedly, seeing this go from 4 wide to 2 wide to 4 wide again does bother me a little bit. Maybe it leads to me deciding to actually widen this path later on, but I will say that what looks odder to me, if that's a word, I know odder is a word, what looks more strange to me is having a path that is 2 tiles long, or 2 tiles wide rather, and have it just go in one straight line forever. I kind of like the variation of going from 4 wide to 3 wide to 2 wide. I think that makes it look a little more dynamic. It makes things feel more intentional to me. It's kind of hard to explain how my brain works. Maybe some of you agree. Maybe you kind of understand what I'm saying. But okay, let's continue. We're going to run this path straight into this cliff. This is where we will do the tiniest bit of terraforming once we're ready to put down a staircase. And we're going to make a staircase that is even with this 4 tile wide path. So I'm probably going to indent the cliff here, and then I'm going to create an indent for the staircase. And then I'm probably going to, you know, bulk this part up a little bit just to kind of balance it. But I'll shut up about that right now. I'm kind of explaining my vision again without having the visual aid. So there we go, 4 tiles wide, and then we decide what we want to do for Able Sisters. It looks like it's another odd number for the entrance, so we're going to do 3 tiles here. We can tuck these ones under the doorstep. We can go ahead and taper off the corners, and now we can connect it like this. And then we have Octavian's house. We can go ahead and start putting path down and see that, yes, it is again 3 tiles. So we'll just go with it. 3 tiles to connect Octavian's house to the main path here. I'll taper these corners. I'm pretty committed to this path, so I'm going to go ahead and fill it in. And then where things get a little funky is the entrance to the next level of cliffs. Now, I did say this was going to be a 2 wide path because I was going to shove a staircase in right here. The interesting thing, what we're doing here, is that if I bring this path down, we go down, 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 and we connect it to the main path. Thanks to Nintendo being inconsistent with how they do entrances to certain buildings, we have this interesting conundrum where this path here is where it's supposed to be, this path is where it's supposed to be, and this path is where it's supposed to be, and yet we have 1 tile between these 2 paths and 2 tiles between these 2 paths. And then up here, we have 1 tile again between this building and path and this building and path. What is one to do? Honestly, this is just going to come down to the types of items we place down and how we visually distract people from this very weird looking set of paths that we have. However, there is another way we can tackle this that I think might look a little bit better. If we do something like this, it evens out a lot more. Now it's a little bit harder to tell that there's actually a couple extra tiles of path that go in this direction thanks to the entrance of this house being where it is. And we have an even amount of space on either side. We can decorate this in, a number of different ways without having that weird imbalance that we were dealing with before. And I also can still decide if I want to make this path 4 tiles wide rather than 2. However, I do think 2 is the right call, so I'm going to leave it like that for now. It also gives us just more room to kind of decorate. We could put some shrubs down. We do all kinds of stuff. And then, of course, yes, this will be a staircase that goes up. We'll connect Marshall's house, and the paths will continue from there. Anyway, for now, I'll just kind of taper this off a little bit. And the next thing I want to do is start focusing on the entrance to the actual island. On my way down there, I'll start filling this in as well. Just 1 row for now. We'll get the other one on our way back. And I want to start considering how this is all going to work. So we can finally remove this stump. I think I have all the stump bugs that can spawn at this time of year. I could be wrong. I'll also be getting rid of these flowers. I think like straight up just getting rid of them. And we're going to take a path that comes off of the airport and goes in a couple different directions. First, though, let me get these money trees placed in their new semi-permanent home. Ooh, Molly has something to tell me. It's a new reaction. Just a nice, simple, hello, how are you? The pleased reaction. I'm going to go ahead and start selling stuff that I have an abundance of. It does seem like I'm going to end up with a lot of trees, so I'm going to go back on my word, and I'm going to sell some of them. Not all of them, just some. Just to reclaim some inventory space. I don't know where I'm going to even put them temporarily, so we just got to remove them. But we can get this balloon. It was just 5 iron nuggets. I'll finish this path on my way back down, and yeah, I think this entrance is going to kind of define a lot in terms of like how we're going to decorate, how much stuff we're going to put down, and yeah, I'm excited to get this part done. I think once we get the entrance and then the path to the museum and maybe the paths to some houses, that'll be all the pathing we need to do for today. And I will continue pathing once we get the staircases put down. I'm going to try not to break this rock, but it might get in our way. We'll see. And yeah, so the plan is to start a 4-wide path that reaches the airport. And we need to kind of figure out how high it's going to go because we want to connect with the front of the plaza. But we also wanted to connect with this bridge over here that will be done tomorrow. So we'll dig up this tree, which will cost me a shovel. And then we'll start planning out this road right here that will be 4 tiles wide and connect with our soon-to-be bridge. And since I'm without a shovel, it looks like these trees aren't going to make it. Sorry, trees. I did just get some Nook miles for cutting trees down, though, so maybe this is what I was meant to do all along. Oh, right. I still need a shovel to pick up the stumps. Ooh, our first red balloon. Let's see what's inside. By the way, with the slingshot, I customized this one blue because I was trying to keep it fresh so it wouldn't break. Have you noticed when you customize the slingshot, the pellets also changed to that color? I just noticed that. We got our first dress from the balloon. There it is. I think I'll stick with the suspender outfit though. And with all that clearing done, we can get this path over to the airport. This is the top of my path right now. It does look like this rock is getting uncomfortably close to it. There's nothing wrong with having the rock here. It's not gonna like take away materials from me or anything, but I don't like it there. So yeah, it probably ends up slated for destruction, unfortunately. Anyway, I think I placed this bridge in the right spot because it kind of worked out perfectly. This is what I wanted. I wanted the path to be 4 tiles wide, and I wanted it to have a little bit of a buffer between the beach and the path. And I've created that. In certain areas, it extends a little bit, and yeah, this kind of worked out really nicely. So we can kind of taper these corners off a little bit. I can go ahead and fill it in. And then we need to make a decision about the museum and where this path is going to go. Does it only hook to the left, or do we go straight up like this? As you can tell, the museum is not lined up with the airport, and I don't think that's possible because I believe this is an uneven number here. Yes, I'm correct. This is either 3 tiles or 5 tiles, however you want to do the path, but it is not an even number. But it does almost line up with the airport, and it's close enough to where you could have this path come up here and then allow it to go over here to this side of resident services, and maybe people don't notice that the, things aren't quite lined up correctly. But one thing I was thinking of doing with this is that I was thinking we actually don't encourage people to go straight ahead. Maybe right here is where we could put like a bus stop or something. And that would make sense for the airport. And then encourage people to go this way. Then we create a path that goes up from here to resident services, like the plaza kind of like entrance. Hold on just a second. Okay, so yeah, comes up to the plaza entrance. And then if you want to go to the museum, you go this way. And then from here, we could also have a path that goes this way over to the different neighborhoods, or what if you, I don't know if 2 houses makes a neighborhood, but over to this like quote unquote neighborhood we have over here. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lean into this idea that Not everything is going to be super straightforward. You see the museum in the distance? Listen, I'm not going to block you from doing this, going around whatever I put there, and just, I don't care. But for paths, I think it'll look better if I do this, and then you come over here to the museum. Now, how far does this road go? I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure how this is all going to keep shifting and changing as I start to bring the path over to the museum and the different houses. So for now, I don't think I will fill this particular set of paths in because I might change my mind. Let's kind of keep this open like this. And maybe we play around with the areas in which this path like continues to take you. So it could go over to here and it can go up. We did talk about making a path that goes up between these two houses. The path that goes up here could then bring you to this house, and there could be another little path, maybe a 2-wide path that brings you to this house. Oh, and the other thing our entrance path could do is actually go this way as well and bring you to these two houses. And I think that works. I mean, it does mean we have to create like little entrance pads off of this path to the house doorsteps, but that's fine. Now, see, if I was allowing myself to move buildings, I would probably move these houses out of the way and then wait a day, let them build somewhere else, then come back and put them one tile down. But I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna let myself do that. But yeah, this is kind of the idea. I think I'm gonna leave this path a bit skeletal as well. I might move on to the rest of my dailies from here because I've done a lot of paths already, even though this has probably been cut together very quickly for you. And I might need to sleep on this a little bit, but this is kind of what I was thinking. So we just have some paths that just kind of go up here, very nice like this, and they meet the entrances of these homes, and they look kind of cool. Something like that right there. Still some room in front of them to decorate and beside them. And we can even make this path continue this way if we wanted to, up to the beach for some reason. I don't think I will. But importantly, we now kind of have a layout for the paths around resident services, which means if I do decide to decorate for Halloween, like I've talked about, this is great. Like we have all these little areas where I could put all kinds of little Halloween decorations right here. We could put a couple trees down as well, so just give this area some height. We could put another one of those like navigational kind of signs I was talking about, like right here, or I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that could work right here. Oh, it looks like Zucker wants to play a treasure hunting game. This might get me like a piece of furniture, but I have a lot of anxiety. I don't want to do this right now. The rules are real simple. If you can find the treasure I buried before time runs out, then you win. The treasure's buried in dirt, so don't go indoors. Folks get mad. Oh my gosh, I didn't even get to read it. Okay. I just wanted to know if he'd like put it behind a tree. I don't think he will. Okay, I actually think there's a fossil right here, but this is a good excuse for me to kind of dig up some stuff that I haven't dug up today. And I was just complaining that I do need a break from putting down paths, so I guess I should embrace this. Have you ever tried one of these treasure hunts? Have you ever failed one of these treasure hunts? I certainly have. Oh, wait, this is it. I think I've certainly failed one of these before. I'm glad we did that in less than a minute. Give me the treasure so I can open it. Oh, what if I had opened it before? Oh, man. I won a Western shirt. Oh, come on. I thought for sure that would net me some furniture. Oh, got another balloon, though. Maybe this is furniture. Ooh, almost shot it right into the river. All right, what's this? 5 clay. All right, so I got 5 iron and 5 clay today. I think the game is trying to tell me to make more iron wall lamps for the villagers. And I will do that because that is a good way to get our presents done. Except, wow, I really am still very low on iron. I'm low on clay, too. I only have 8 iron. Oh boy. Maybe instead today we do cherries again. Or I'll do fossils, actually. I think that would be good. I'll get all the fossils. Surely Blathers won't take all of them, and I'll wrap those. And as I run around, I'll grab some cherries too. We certainly have some more paths to put down because I got to get some dirt underneath these flowers, and we need some paths going between the flowers. We got to continue plotting our island's entire layout by putting a path over to here. We'll get a bridge going across, all that fun stuff. But I still have these dailies to contend with, so we'll just see where we get to. Ooh. I just broke this rock. I'm glad it wasn't the money rock. Crud. That was not the rock I was planning on breaking today. One thing I'm realizing as I'm watering this produce is we had Leaf here like yesterday or the day before, and I sold weeds to him. Yeah, that must have been yesterday. But I didn't talk to him about like the crops he was selling. We could have gotten another type of crop. I hope it was tomatoes again or something. Now I'm feeling guilty for not having thought of that. Today's beach DIY. Fancy mum wreath. Okay, I am growing mums. I don't think I have any hybrids though, and I think the fancy ones require hybrids. Nook Miles tasks coming along. Just need to do one more for today. Oh my gosh, Zucker and Samson are grilling. It's adorable. They're actually eating the stuff they're grilling too. He has a little kebab. Oh my gosh, maybe he'll give me one if I give him a present. Nope, a worker's jacket. He's gonna get to enjoy grilling on this beautiful fall day, and I get back to work. Great, thanks. Blathers is taking all 3 fossils today. Oh, giving gifts is not going to be fun on this particular day. Well, let's go ahead and give Zucker our remaining fossil. Let me guess, I get work boots for this? I would actually take any type of shoes at this point. A V-neck sweater. Okay, this is when I get done working for the day. I get to relax in my V-neck sweater. Great. I'm trying to keep catching these whenever I see them because they are worth a bit. I think they're 1,000 bells normally. I'll have to take a bit of a cut because of the drop box, but hey, like, it's a good amount of money. And no, I still haven't found the money rock. And the rocks are really not providing a whole lot of iron. I think that person who said giving 2 foreign fruits would be a better way to go when it comes to giving fruit as a gift. I don't know if coconuts really count. Maybe I'll do like 3 coconuts. I haven't researched that myself, but I'm just trying to get furniture. If it doesn't maximize friendship points, it just means it takes longer to get their photo. And yeah, I'm kind of prioritizing gifts right now over money, even though I need the money. I need the staircases, I need the bridges, but the furniture options we have now are just lacking so much. And I just don't want to miss a day where I'm like giving out gifts to people or not giving out gifts to people. We really need to be doing this every single day if possible. So I'm going to try wrapping just 2 coconuts and I'm going to see if that's worthy of getting something in return. Faith is making a spooky candy set, so this is a new one for us. And let's see if 2 coconuts is enough to get anything in return. It is. I'll get a bathrobe. Not me accidentally eating their presents in front of them. Trying to do is grab 2 of them, stack them up like that, and then get them wrapped. Sherry is actually giving me something that's not clothing. It's a nail art set. I think the only villager I've left for now is Molly. We found her earlier, but I don't know where she ran off to. We'll get the pumpkins watered because I think what we're gonna do is actually craft with these tomorrow, because now that we have the resident services area kind of planned out with paths, it'd be really great to have some decorations. So yeah, I think we'll make some Halloween spooky decorations for the front of resident services. Let's give you a couple of coconuts. And I will get tea and towel. What is that? Seriously, what is this item? Okay, place it down. Oh, a t-shirt with a towel on its neck. Okay. Wouldn't it be like tea with towel? I don't know, whatever. Octavian's all moved in and his house is, I don't know, I gotta be honest, a little bit boring. I mean, it's cool that he has all this stuff, but there are more items that are space themed and there's nothing in this corner at all. And they're so big, you can't even like walk between these ones. This is honestly the weirdest house I've seen Nintendo do for a villager. I don't know, it's probably weirder ones. I've never really known a villager's house to look like that. Let me collect up my one-off points, things like 500 points for putting down a path for the first time, stuff like that. And then I'm gonna grab these apples. Now that I have paths and all these little areas I've created of like blank space, I feel a lot better about putting down some more permanent kind of decorations. And I think I want to start with these apple trees, kind of flanking the surrounding area with resident services there. But maybe not right here. Maybe I'll actually move them out like this, but maybe I won't even do that. What if we get real fancy and we put some dirt under them? Yeah, something kind of like this. We plant an apple just like that. That's gonna grow up big and strong. And we can choose to put whatever we want around this. We can put some decorations, we can put some flowers. Normally that's what I do, I'll put some flowers. It also leaves us some room right here to put maybe like a little fence or something. We'll plant another one right here. It also satisfies the last of 5 Nook Miles tasks I need to do today. And it begins to construct the vision I have for how Resident Services is gonna look. We're gonna kind of have some more naturey things around it like this, but also some other decorations too. And again, I am going to focus specifically on the Halloween ones here since it is that season and I'm going to have a lot of those DIYs. But you can also hopefully start to imagine what this area looks like out of that season as well. And this means we've planted 4 different types of fruit trees with only 2 more remaining. And I don't know if we'll ever see those 2 fruits. It might be possible through villagers maybe visiting your house and giving you gifts, but I don't think peaches and pears are possible to get without going to another island. But correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like people have mentioned in the past that villagers could bring those things to your house. Anyway, today was pretty straightforward. We have, I would say, 1/3 of our island layout done. I don't want to quite say half yet. We still got to do some stuff by Zucker's house. We need to put paths up in the hills. We didn't finish putting paths around the houses that are over here to the right of our airport. So there's a lot more to do. But this kind of gives us an idea of, you know, the layout of the island, how people are going to kind of traverse it. And once we get the rest of the paths down, I think decorating becomes a lot more fun, at least for me. That's how I am. So I'll be focused on that tomorrow, and tomorrow's video is on the screen now if you want to go watch it, or if it's not ready yet, just subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll see you over there.